really solid bans earlier on because you don't know what archetype it is. But now, if there's a warrior or warlock in the set, you probably know kind of what archetype it is and what's going on with it. And we see game one coming up here.
Yes, we do. It's going to be Rogue from JJ versus the Hunter from AKAWonder. And I'm already excited because there's an abusive Sergeant and an Argent Horse Rider in this Hunter deck. But unfortunately, I do not get any part of this cast. I will leave you in the capable hands of Nimsh and Firebat. Have fun, guys.
Thanks so much, Soto. Oh, man, is it a Face Hunter?
This is a Face Hunter.
This is a Face
Most
Hunter.
definitely a Face Hunter. Face Hunter traditionally has been extremely powerful against Rogue. There isn't really a standard Face Hunter deck at the moment, but I imagine any sort of cards that go face is really just great against Rogue. They have such limited defensive abilities, and since they always, instead of going for like sprint variants with the oil like was before, they go with the Auctioneer to cycle in, and it's just a lot slower for them to hit that cycle. They have less ability to put pressure on quickly, and that means the consistent damage of Face Hunter is just going to whittle them down usually most of the time before they can hit their cycle and start drawing into their own kill turn.
Yeah, this is one of the worst matchups, and I've heard some players complaining about Face Hunter here at this tournament that, hey, I got 3-0 by the Face Hunter. I wasn't expecting that deck at all.
Yeah, I didn't expect it at all either, but it is a deck that if you're not prepared for, it can 3-0 you. And with a ban, maybe you ban out the Warrior like we see AKAWonder do here, and suddenly Face Hunter's in a good position to just take him down.
Yeah, we'll see if Face Hunter actually wins 3-0 here. But the beginning of the game, AKAWonder has a good hand. He got double one-drop, he has a two-drop, three-drop, and tracking to get something else as well. Unleash the Hounds will not be the best card overall in the matchup, but he got the big opening. That's a great thing.
Yeah, the double fiery bat. I'm a fan of that opening.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You approve of double fiery bat?
I definitely approve of that, but SuperJJ now has the backstab and the Edwin, and he has a prep to go along with it, but he doesn't have another spell to go with the Edwin, so he's not going to be able to play that this turn. But Backstab SI still makes just mincemeat out of these bats.
Yeah, well, this is one of the openings that you need to win, to have a chance versus the Face Hunter. This matchup is so bad that you definitely need the Backstab SI, and maybe he'll pick up the spell. So Edwin is another card that can really help you in this matchup.
And he's going to get a coin off the Tomb Pillager, potentially, to make the Edwin even bigger. So we could definitely see JJ set up maybe like a lethal on like turn 7 or so by just making this huge Edwin on the following turn if this Tomb Pillager gets dealt with. And if it doesn't get dealt with, he can maybe cold-blood it to give AKAWonder some incentive to deal with it, to then turn around and then make the giant Edwin.
Yeah, so you basically try to force Hunter to trade into your minions while you go for face.
Yep. And kind of an awkward draw there, but he does have the Azure Drake to lean on. He can just play the Azure Drake, and I don't think you're trading with this Tomb Pillager.
No, you go face.
Yeah.
You go face because you have to raise, especially because you have the Cold Blood as well, which means he has Leroy in the deck, so this is the Leroy version of Miracle.
He may be thinking about the merits of prep Cold Blood Edwin this turn, just to be even a bit more aggressive. You get to make the 6/6 Edwin, you get a push for 9 damage, you get a Dagger Up, which pushes for an additional 2 damage. So then you're looking at 11 damage going in. The 9 damage connects again, you know?
Yeah,
Things start adding up.
It can work, but on the other hand, you have preparation for Gadgets on turn 6, and Gadgets is something that surely will be traded into. Like, you cannot really leave Gadgets on the board as a Face Hunter.
Well, sometimes you can.
Well,
sometimes you don't care.
You push,
yeah. It's going to be interesting. It looks like he is just going for the most aggressive play he can possibly go for, realizing Face Hunter clocks him and just taking that next step here, going over Azure Drake and just straight into Edwin Van Cleave, Cold Blood the face.
And JJ says, you want to race me? Sure, let's race.
Yeah.
Well, especially because there is free damage on board only, so sometimes Hunter has trouble doing that 1 extra damage from hand.
Yeah, we do see he has the Unleash available to him to kind of make that happen, but it's not pretty, right? You don't want to be trading as a Face Hunter ever. that just feels so bad. You want your opponent to have to trade into you so your inefficient minions are actually kind of efficient, because they get their face damage in, then your opponent reacts to you, and you get to be the one dictating the pace of the game.
Definitely, and he will have to do something with this board because he is in no position to go face. Like, he will have to start with tracking, maybe get a kill command out of it.
Yeah, that would probably be the best way to go about it, right? So tracking into kill command, then Abusive Sergeant, your Infested Wolf, and then you can smash face still. But Freezing Trap, that's an interesting card in the Face Hunter deck.
It can work, actually, here, because he has Abusive, so he can Freezing Trap one of those guys.
Yeah,
well, basically Edwin.
Yeah, you can Freezing Trap the Edwin, and...
But you do have to trade.
You do have to trade, giving your opponent that valuable coin, which is a little bit unfortunate. He'd obviously prefer to be able to Freezing Trap the Tomb Pillager, but it's just not the case in this situation, and... I mean, he's starting to dig his way out of this mess. It's definitely looking a little bit better for him with the find of that Freezing Trap, but JJ has quite a powerful hand still, nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. But a bit passive, though. Like,
a bit passive,
if Wonder is just continuously dealing damage, normally in Rogue you have maybe one Farseer. From 0 to 2, depends on the build.
Yeah. Yeah, 0, 1, or even 2. It really depends on the build, but most of the time not 2 when you're going with a non-Malagos or non-N'Zoth version of Rogue, because they want to run more spells and have better gadgets and turns, and they build their deck mainly focused around that with conceals and what have you.
Yeah, so what it means basically is that there's only 3 more health that JJ can get somewhere along the line, and no taunts as well. So without taunts, Hunter can just focus on going for face.
Yeah, and we already see, like, AKAWonder has about 15 damage in his hand right now. Like, he's got the 11 from Leroy kill command. He's got the ability to hero power this turn, and then 2 damage on the board. So that's 15. You add in 3 more hero powers to that, or count the unleashes 2 damage, then only 2 more hero powers to that. He almost has the game closed out here. I can't imagine he doesn't kill command face, hero power face.
Yeah. Seems like the best play, because you want to follow up with Leroy hero power.
Yeah, and he's thinking about holding on to the kill command or thinking about potentially trading with it, but I like the decision to go face, just counting the amount of damage he has in his hand.
Definitely. And even like if Rogue plays minions, you will be able to get more value from Unleash the Hounds, and just can keep Leroy for the kill turn.
Yeah, keep Leroy for that. And SuperJJ does not want to see more minions here. He's really looking for spells. That's what he wants more than anything. And he keeps getting minion after minion after minion, and it's putting him on the back foot a lot. Now he's in a position where he maybe has to trade, but if he trades, he doesn't have enough damage to win the race, so he's committed to just jamming this 5-4 face and hoping he can kill AKAWonder in time, I believe.
If he goes for face, that there's 16 points of health next turn, and he got eviscerated, so that's something. With another Azure Drake, it can be a lot of damage, but he would need to get a Cold Blood, or maybe...
Well, no, he can set up lethal if his minions stick around.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
if his minions stick around, he's totally fine. He knocks the 5 damage phase forward. AKAWonder is down to 16 health. He's got 9... All right, no, and then he pokes the dagger, so he's down to 15 health. He's got 9, 10 on the board, and he eviscerates another 5, even 6 with the Azure Drake.
And it should be enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it will be enough.
But if he loses a minion, then he needs to find the Cold Blood, right? So you have to imagine that AKAWonder is going to not let lethal stick on board and clear one of these minions, or maybe pick up lethal of his own if possible. And
Tiger.
Stranglethorn Tiger in the Face Hunter.
Well,
interesting.
It's not lethal.
Yeah.
Is it Face Hunter then? Or is it still just a
hybrid mid-face hunter?
Possibly.
Yeah, it's like half face hunter, half mid-range hunter. Maybe he just has in the infested wolves in there on 4, and then the tigers on 5, and nothing after that.
Well, if you think about it, like you play tiger, they cannot do anything with it, and you go face. So it's kind of like
it's
the card that supports face damage in a way.
It's 5 damage to the face for sure, but
you don't have arcane golems anymore.
Yeah, you don't. You needed something a little bit extra. A lot of people have been struggling to try and make good Face Hunter decks. They've been falling up short a lot on ladder, but AKAWonder's Face Hunter deck seems to be falling up short here today. He doesn't have a great way to do this turn. Like, if he unleashes the Hounds, he's unable to play one of his 5-drops with it. If he's not playing one of his 5-drops, this hand is, like, super clunky. He knows the game's going to be over in, like, 2 turns. And
he has to play Unleash the Hounds.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, he's dead on board.
Well, he could Leroy into something. Oh. That's the other option. So that then he could potentially unleash the Hounds plus kill command, hero power the following turn or something like that. And he would be able to push more damage face this turn.
With this trade, he actually avoids lethal from JJ. There is 6 damage. He would need something else. That's +2, so it's...
yeah, well, the problem that I have with this line, though, is what is AKAWonder's win condition at this point, right?
So, kill command isn't enough.
No.
Second unleash is...
Okay.
Yeah, second unleash, possibly.
Second unleash will get the job done.
Is there anything else?
Nope.
Second unleash? No, not really.
No, it's only second unleash. That's why I was maybe considering Leroying something that turn so you'd have more mana to use your top deck, whatever it is, so you can unleash plus your top deck plus hero power the following turn for a little bit more damage, since you know the game's ending in 2 turns anyway, but that would have been a little less safe, and he would have died to this deadly poison top deck from JJ, yeah. So he plays around that, goes for the Unleash the Hounds off the top, and we'll see if he gets there.
Can he get it? It's a stage drop. Well, doesn't help.
No, he's dead.
Yep,
yeah.
He's really dead.
And typically speaking, Face Hunter's super favored in the matchup, but we saw SuperJJ, he had a really solid hand in the early game. He had the backstab SI, he had the big Edwin. He pushed Face with that Cold Blood, and that made all the difference. It put AKAWonder on the back foot, made AKAWonder have to, like, unleash instead of playing down Stranglethorn Tiger, for example, and just take trades that he didn't want to have to take and waste so much face damage having to react to SuperJJ's aggression. I think we may have seen a different game here if SuperJJ on turn 5 had just played Azure Drake instead.
Definitely. That would be much slower. And also, like, we call it Face Hunter, but it's kind of like a hybrid, right?
Yeah.
So, he got a freezing trap. He got some board control mechanism. If that would be an explosive trap, that would be extra 2 damage. So maybe then he could actually race.
Well, then Edwin Van Cleef would have
just killed him.
would have killed him. Yeah,
him.
I think the freezing trap was good.
All right.
So yeah, there's definitely elements of it. He had a really good curve. The Rogue's hand was just a little bit better, and the ability to just get that cold blood out early and make the giant Edwin was too strong after the backstab SI, and sometimes Rogue can do that, and that's why it's considered such a great deck, and a lot of people bring it, even though like the meta's not great for Rogue. There's just Rogue can beat anything sometimes if you draw well.
You mean the metagame on ladder or like the tournament metagame?
Both.
Last year's standing Rogue was performing quite well, I think.
Okay. Yeah, Conquest tournament metagame anyway, though. A lot of people have been falling away from Rogue because of its tendency to just 0-3. Which is a problem you don't have in last year's standings. That plays towards Rogue's strengths a little bit. So if you draw bad with Rogue, you're like, all right, I lost with Rogue. I don't have to play it again. If in Conquest, though, when you draw bad with Rogue, sometimes you hit those streaks where you're like 2 games in a row in favorable matchups. You just never draw gadgets in and lose. So it's kind of interesting. Makes it a lot more viable in the format for sure.
It is a consistent deck overall, I think. Like 7 out of 10 times you will draw what you want.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 times you have the gadgets in Auctioneer and you can actually play the deck. But it always feels bad 30% of the time being unable to, do anything.
Even in a good matchup.
Yeah, even in a good matchup, it's just like, well, I guess I lose.
Well, JJ plays a lot of Rogue,
Yeah.
and he had a lot of success with Rogue before. And Rogue, I think, like at DreamHack Austin was also one of the premier decks.
Okay.
Most of the people that got the top 8, they had Rogue.
Sure.
But Rogue versus Zoo is a tricky matchup. Like, you need backstabs.
You do. You definitely want your backstabs, your SIs. He's got SI already. He's got Prep, Coin, and Edwin, and an Eviscerate. So we could see a quick end to this game if he just next turn decides to go Prep, Eviscerate, Coin, Edwin, get the 8-8 out there, and then have the SI to follow it up.
Yeah, it's really tough to stop it as a Zoo player. And when Rogue gets on board and you're playing from behind, it's really tough. Especially because when you even start tapping, you're not doing much. You're damaging yourself, so you are extending yourself to the combos.
Yeah, and
yeah, Edwin is one of the ways to win this game, definitely.
for sure. And overall, I mean, the matchup is favored for the Rogue, I'd say, most of the time. I don't know, maybe we'll expect to see some sort of Soulfires come out of AKAWonder's deck, something that can maybe tilt it in the Zoo's favor a little bit, but for the time being, from the cards we've seen, it's definitely a Rogue favored matchup, and this Edwin is going to be ginormous. He can even use the Backstab in there if he wants to make it bigger, or he can save Backstab SI for the following turn, which I think he's going to do. So he gets the Eviscerate down here on the Dire Doggy, and then the following turn he has Backstab SI to clear the next minion AKAWonder decides to play.
Yeah, it's almost over at this point. And also, it seems like AKAWonder is playing the version with Doomguards, which is not running Leroy. It's probably no Soulfire as well, just like 1C Giant double Doomguard.
Yeah.
Something that RDU was playing a lot. And AKAWonder is known from playing Zoo. Like, he's one of the better Zoo players. But I wonder if he was able to come back from this bad situation. Like, maybe if he gets Defender of Argus next turn and then just stalls a bit.
Sure.
PO to try to trade into this Edwin.
Yeah.
But Backstab SI is almost going to seal it.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal to try and stop Backstab SI. We may not even see the Backstab come out here since it doesn't have great targets. Could potentially see Edwin go face and just an SI being laid out there, save the Backstab to go with the Violet Teacher on the following turn. But depends how well it plays around like Power Overwhelming, like you said. Because if you go for that and you don't clear the Abusive Sergeant, then Power Overwhelming can take care of your 8-8.
I wouldn't hate just going for a backstab on the 2-1 and a side going face, and then slam face with Edwin as well. So like you have an 8-8, 3-3, there at 20.
We're going to see him. SuperJJ wants to save the backstab for the Violet Teacher, but he also does not want his Edwin to die to simply to Soulfire or Power Overwhelming. So he, instead of developing the SI, he forgoes doing that to just develop the Dagger, take care of the Abusive Sergeant, protect his Edwin Van Cleef, and save some resources for bigger targets. I like this a lot.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good line.
Yeah.
Especially because you can use the SI later. And this Edwin should be enough to win you the game if you just continue clearing the minions that are threatening it.
Yeah, and by holding back SI, that gives himself more removal in his hand to remove minions that are threatening it. Unfortunately for JJ, it doesn't line up very well against Imp Gang Boss, though.
It doesn't, but AKAWonder doesn't really have the tools to stop him. He might be forced to Doomguard next turn to be able to trade into this Edwin or kill the 3-5, but he is slowly dying here.
Yeah. Well, slowly is an interesting term. It's turn 4. You know, maybe a bit quicker than slowly, but
It's still attacks by Edwin, you know. It's a couple of attacks.
Yeah, it's still a ways to go, but you're not feeling comfortable against Rogue after getting bashed in the face for 8 twice. They run Leroy, they run Cold Bloods. You've seen one Eviscerate already, so you can feel a little comfort in that, but still, so much damage in the Rogue deck for sure.
And now, is he thinking about trading into the 2-4? Or he's going for the backstab?
Yeah, thinking about whether he wants to break up the backstab SI combo for the board control this turn, and he does end up going for it. This also helps protect his Edwin again against power overwhelming. There's only 3 power on the board now, so Edwin no longer dies to power overwhelming, but little does he know this play enables Sea Giant, but I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Wow, Sea Giant on board, so if you want to, you can trade into it, but you can also go face.
And yeah, just kill your opponent, so.
Which is better overall.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So the only play to not die here is Doomguard? Trade
Yeah.
into Edwin?
Well, you can make Dark Iron Dwarf trade into Violet Teacher as well. You're not going to die in the immediate. Like, the Doomguard feels so bad because you're losing 2 high-value cards as Zoo, and then likely you're going to be finding lesser value cards in the future since you've just discarded a bunch of your super impactful cards. So now you're going to be finding 1-drops a lot of the times, but you're in a bad situation. It's time to take risks.
You have to do it also like you're trying to get Defender of Argus, and the positioning there is quite well because you can play Argus between Doomguard and Gang Boss and get 2 good taunts.
Sure.
But without Argus, it will be tough.
Yeah, because now the Edwin's threatening lethal. Now it has to die, or there has to be a taunt to block it. So he's on some top deck outs to try and figure out a way to stop this, the terror that is Edwin Van Cleef. And
There is PO.
Okay.
That is something, like you can clear the board here.
yeah, it's not pretty, though. It's not pretty.
Can you tap? Can you ever
you
tap?
have to tap. You have to tap, right? You got to look at the board and be like, can I win the game with
1 card in hand.
with 1 card in hand? And the answer is just simply no, especially if you're trading the board away. You cannot win the game with 1 card in hand. So
You still have a chance to get the Defender of Argus.
yeah. Yeah. You just have to do it. And he gets
Oh!
the Defender of Argus. Now, he could maybe steal a win here by Defender of Argus pushing all face. You can't trade in the Edwin still. And the reason being is because you don't have the resources to fight off the Rogue forever. If you spend your entire board killing Edwin Van Cleef, you can't tap for more cards because you'll kill yourself. So you don't have enough cards to go 1-for-1 against Rogue and take all of these trades. You really need to figure out a situation where you can push face, and the Argus lets him do it.
Yeah, and you have 2 positions. Like you can actually play Argus on Argent Squire and in Gang Boss
Sure.
to make it even more awkward for your opponent to trade into your minions.
Yeah, I
Protecting
like
your
it.
Doomguard.
I like it a lot. And then you can try and guarantee that 5 damage again the following turn. But he is going to go with just getting it on the Doomguard. He's too afraid. He wants to have his taunts as big as possible. I think trading into the SI is reasonable, but yeah, of course, you have to ignore the Edwin Van Cleef here.
So how much oh, Shadow Stab.
Interesting tech choice.
So he's playing Leroy and Shadow Stab in the same deck.
Yeah.
But he needs more things now. You would love to have Shiv? No, Shiv is not saving him.
No, not quite saving him, but he's
Eviscerate.
not quite dead yet. So.
He's not dead yet, but like this is still a tough situation. Like there can be a Doomguard draw.
Yeah, and now it's just, what do you want to shiv? There's a lot of mediocre targets for it. You might even just shiv the bubble, because you're likely to run the 8-8 into the 6-2 anyway to just limit the potential that you're going to die.
Yep.
You don't accomplish too much with it, but there's really no point shivving the face, because Eviscerates, you're out to kill him anyway. At 3 health, you likely don't run Sinister Strikes in your Shadow Step Rogue, so there's not going to be ways to do that 3 damage that way, but Deadly Poison is a way to do 3 damage if there weren't taunts in the way, and you have to imagine the taunts most likely going to stick around,
Well,
but maybe not.
If you might be dead next turn as well.
True.
This is 6, 10 damage, and if there's a PO or a Soulfire, oh, there is a Doomguard.
Wow!
Called it.
That is going to be lethal, and AKAWonder is able to take it on the back.
Oh man, that steal is incredible. Even though Edwin was just bashing his face slowly, he was able to come back.
An 8-8 Edwin turn 2. Followed up with, well, he didn't actually have any good targets for Backstab SI, but he had Backstab SI later on in that game. It's just an incredible start from the Rogue, and AKAWonder still able to power through it in an unfavored matchup, too, most people would say, for Zoo. So
Definitely. And you have to wonder, like, if JJ would play that SI-7 a bit earlier, instead of just going for the weapon, he will have another body on board that is able to trade.
But then if there's a power overwhelming, then your opponent can trade in their board power overwhelming into Edwin.
No, we
Do you
backstab,
actually
aside. So we backstab
Oh, okay,
to
okay,
one,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
you
yeah.
aside to like
more aggressive
yeah,
for
more
sure.
pressure on board, and you
That would have been
a
a 3 additional damage.
yeah.
Yes, I would have stuck it around, hit in the face. Maybe, yeah, maybe the extra cautious play from JJ, because he got in such a great position. He was like, all right, I just have to not lose. I just got to play super safe, and I'll win from this eventually. And that just wasn't the case.
Yeah,
And
he just
played
needed to be a bit faster.
Yeah.
All right, so Zoo survived, and as you mentioned, like Zoo has a sweep potential. We'll see if JJ is able to stop it. He picks up his Priest, which is a really good match against the Zoo.
Yeah, it's definitely is a lot of times, depending on the Priest build, right? So there's some Priest variants that are pretty good against Zoo, some that are great against Zoo, and some that aren't that great against Zoo. It just depends how many greedy cards you're running and how many safe cards you're running in your Priest. Are you going with Wild Pyromancers and double Shadow Word Pain? Then you're going to be pretty good against Zoo. If you're going instead with like a N'Zoth Priest with like N'Zoth and Sylvanas and Karen, these are cards that are quite useless against Zoo, and they're just going to weigh down your deck and weigh down your draws. And while Priest does not have the greatest draw engine in the world, if you have even a few dead cards against Zoo, they can steamroll you.
Yeah, definitely. So I wonder which list is he playing. I would assume this might run N'Zoth, but it doesn't have to be super N'Zoth heavy. There is a recent list that got top 5 Europe on ladder, and I think it wasn't running Kern, but mostly you get the Defrado cards from the curators, and then N'Zoth is still good. But you run like Okanai, Soul Priest, full combo.
We see the
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu's chosen, so it's going to be Cthulhu Priest.
Interesting.
SuperJJ's practice partner, Stansifka, recently did very, very well with Cthulhu Priest in his deck, qualifying for the Star Ladder land in Shanghai on the back of Cthulhu Priest. So makes sense. SuperJJ and him play a lot together, and I guess they share their deck list.
It is an interesting list. You know, when Dark Mender comes and heals 10, most of the aggro decks just flip the table.
Yeah, that can definitely be a huge influence against Zoo. You do need to find those Cthulhu activators, though. We see he has one. He needs to find another one. He does have the AoE in hand already, though. The Cleric on turn 1, and Zoo missed their 1-drop, so this is actually looking very good for SuperJJ to be able to make the Cthulhu Priest shine.
Yeah, he might have enough time to collect the cards, but he's still... Oh, wow. So this is the second activator, and now all the Cthulhu cards will be active.
Wow, so he's going to have heal 10 available to him later on in the game, and he just has an aggro Northshire Cleric right now.
Yeah, free damage. He's just pushing for that. Damage, just Priest. Oh, man.
That's pretty risky, too, flipping it with the Crazed Alchemist, because what if you were to have, like, Power Word Shield? You could get yourself into a nasty spot.
I think the logic there was that you do want to deny the draw for the Priest. Like this, you do realize this matchup is bad for you. You missed your start, so you at least want the Priest to dry out and have no cards to clear. Like, he will clear a board once, but you don't want them to clear the boards twice.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and we do see it is going to effectively deny the cards for SuperJJ, as he doesn't have any way. Oh, his minions have 1 health. He's got none that he can heal, really.
So now he has to like trade into the 2/5, then play the 4/2, which is still not bad. Like, he is having a good board.
Yeah, most definitely. He's definitely in a commanding position. Would you ever maybe go face with the Northshire Cleric, trade into the 3/2, and just leave the Councilman, or you think that's maybe too risky?
I think that's risky. I think that's definitely too risky.
Yeah, it plays into like Knife Juggler and such, you know.
Yeah, and even though you have AoE, the AoE doesn't really kill the 2/5 unless you go. Would you go like with the 2/1 into 2/5 as well?
No, the 2/1 would go into the 3/2. The 3/1 just goes face. You play Cthulhu's Chosen, and then have the threat of Northshire Cleric and kind of force your opponent to trade. There's like potential for it, but at the same time, you expose yourself to Coil. You expose yourself to Knife Juggler and some other things like that. So it seems like kind of an unnecessary risk, but I think if it pays off, it's the most optimal play this turn.
Oh, even Voidwalker actually will stop Cleric, and you buff the Councilman. It can be too big.
Well, your opponent wants to kill the Cleric still, just because of the threat of them drawing cards is so immense. And that is what SuperJJ decides to go for. It's a bit of an aggressive line for a Priest deck, but
Why not?
like it. I like it.
This Cleric does so much damage already.
Yeah, it has pretty low odds of being punished. Your opponent needs like exactly Knife Juggler and some 1-drops, and you can make reads off of what their drops are already. You know none of the cards in their hand are 1-drops because they didn't play a 1-drop turn 1, so...
And Flame Imp is 3 more damage.
3 more damage. Just getting aggroed down by the Cthulhu Priest. And we'll likely see the Northshire Councilman traded into Northshire Cleric. Or are we going to see it just go face?
To just, well, can you race with the Priest? I guess you can.
I don't know. Seems interesting. I would like him maybe to trade it to protect his Direwolf Alpha if he develops Direwolf Alpha.
Yeah, it makes sense. Also, like, you have to. This is a Cthulhu Priest, so it will have good minions. Like, it has Dark Mender, it has Veclor, so and it has a lot of heal as well. So if you do not establish a board, and if you're not winning on board, you might be in trouble.
Yeah.
You are in trouble overall because you're losing board versus the Priest.
Yeah, the board is completely taken away, and SuperJJ still has that Cthulhu's Chosen putting work in, sticking around being annoying. And
Disciple already in hand.
yeah.
And with the Flash Heal, I imagine he plays Alkanai Soul Priest.
Yeah,
in the deck.
the Flash Heal and the Circle, so there's always potential for that looming around the corner. And he gets a value trade here on the Voidwalker after using the Disciple of Cthulhu to kill the Dire Doggy.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, you can actually. No, it's probably better to trade.
Yeah. You can trade and heal your minion back up.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
quite nice.
insane.
Shadow War Pain will be really good as well for like whatever is being played.
Yeah, it's just a great card against Zoo Warlock in general. Most of their minions, besides Doomguard and Sea Giant and the occasional Dark Iron Dwarf, all die to Shadow Word Pain.
Oh man, it's so funny. Just Priest aggroing down the Zoo.
Yeah.
It's like just beating him down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good matchup, and JJ's taking full control over it. So he has 6 damage in hand. With Alkanai Soul Priest wins the game. What else wins the game?
Not Shadow Word Pain.
Yeah, but if you Shadow Word Pain 2 targets, go face for 6.
Yeah, you're in a pretty great spot. It's a nice little lethal setup. And your opponent only has 1 minion to try and kill your 2 minions, which... Zoo has buff cards, but they can't give the minion Wind Fury to trade into both of the minions, so oftentimes one of them is going to stick, and
Zoo wants to deal damage to itself more because AKAWonder needs more cards to win
he has
this.
to tap to be able to try and win the game, to try and keep up with your card quality, and you're basically removing that option by setting him so low.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Double Pain, go face for 6. Just continue with your strategy. It's
Yeah,
cool.
I think SuperJJ was maybe questioning about whether or not he needs to reveal the Shadow Word Pain. Because double Shadow Word Pain isn't always something you expect to see in a Priest deck. Maybe you expect to see 1, but 2 seems like you're gearing towards anti-aggro, so that's probably the thought there is like, do I really need to show these to win the game? Is it worth it to conceal the information? How much of a risk do I want to take holding back, you know?
Yeah, because he's going to continue playing with the Priest. It's last hero standing, even though everybody sees it on stream. Like, AKAWonder now knows there's double Shadow Word Pain.
Yeah.
And this will be it. Not yet. He's still alive.
Yeah.
He's at 1, essentially.
Yeah, no taps for the rest of the game. This Sea Giant just really has to carry through. He has to hope that SuperJJ never finds any removal for the Sea Giant or any additional damage in his deck.
It would be so funny if JJ actually whiffs and now draws only the mend cards, like heal cards, and never finds this 1 damage that he's missing.
Well, eventually he has Cthulhu. Unless Cthulhu completely hits Sea Giant. There's a chance here for AKAWonder.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. There
yeah.
is some amount of a chance.
He has a lot of damage, right? And
Yeah.
there's still a couple of turns for JJ to draw cards. If he never draws Alkanai.
Yeah. Never Alkanai or just never anything that does anything.
So how much?
Oh,
damage?
there's Alkanai. So much for that.
Yeah, it was good theory, though.
Yeah.
An interesting game, definitely. Priest just slaughtering Zoo with damage. And AKAWonder even helping JJ in the very beginning, swapping his stats.
Yeah. Ended up being a bit painful, but I still think the play was pretty good. Denying the card draw from Cthulhu Priest is super important.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, it was correct. And
Yeah.
especially where he didn't have the 1 drop, so he
Yeah.
had to do something.
Yeah, he had to be a bit desperate. When you get those bad draws, sometimes it's just what you got to do. And now he's got the Warrior to go up against the Priest. How do you feel Warrior usually does against Priest?
Depends which kind, obviously, because at the moment Warrior is like, you never know what Warrior it is, right?
Most definitely.
Can
Never
be,
had any
can
idea.
be whatever. But it is a Cthulhu Priest, so there is some, as we can see, damage potential for the deck. It can be more aggressive, especially with a good opening. We can see this Warrior is... Yeah, what is it, actually?
It is Warrior. We don't know. Those
still
are the
don't.
cards that are in most Warriors. I would lean more towards Tempo Warrior because it does have the Armor Smith, but it could still potentially be Patron. It could still potentially be Control, just having Armor Smiths included. It's probably not Cthulhu Warrior because Cthulhu Warrior doesn't run Armor Smiths. We see the Battle Rage now, so now it's between Tempo and Patron Warrior.
So to be honest, I'm not sure about this matchup. I haven't played that much Priest, so do you have any thoughts on it?
Well, I've seen Stan Sifka play against Tempo Warrior with his Cthulhu Priest, and I believe he won the match. But I've only seen 1 game of it actually played out. In theory, I feel like Tempo Warrior has sticky enough minions and does enough damage and has the Fiery War Axe to remove all of the early minions from Priest, and I feel like Temple Warrior should have a slight edge just because they have better tools at getting the board early, and if they have the board, they can get all the cards at their Battle Rage, and
it also seems like Warrior will have more ease to draw the cards with Battle Rage.
yeah,
right?
then
Northshire Cleric, yeah.
Yeah, the Priest needs to find the Northshire Cleric Wild Pyromancer Circle combos, because if you're able to go Northshire Cleric Wild Pyromancer and then any spell then Circle, you're able to draw so many cards. Also, occasionally the Temple Warrior, when they're ahead, will damage their own board to then Battle Rage, and then you counter Battle Rage them by going Northshire Cleric Circle on their injured minions.
True.
So it's some interesting draw dynamics there.
Definitely. But like Fire War Axe was super important in the beginning because if JJ will be able to get those minions on board, then he steals the tempo from the Temple Warrior and just keeps it. And if he curves out into something like Vector, he's in a great shape.
Yep. The Bane of Priest is still 4-attack minions. Temple Warrior's got a lot of them. This Core Crown Elite can't be removed by Shadow Word Pain or Shadow Word Death, so it's just kind of sitting there being annoying.
Without Okanai Soul Priest, it will be hard. There is the Circle of Healing, but you cannot activate it. And Karen even, right?
Karen's going to be crazy annoying.
Good.
I've yet to see any Cthulhu Priests play Entomb, so Karen's just going to be an absolute nightmare for JJ to have to deal with. And this turn he's thinking about what he wants to do. If he wants to reveal the fact he has the AoE in his hand by trying to set it up on the Armorsmith, or if the Armorsmith maybe is not even worth like being relevant in killing, you know? Because he could just play Disciple of Cthulhu on the Armorsmith to signal he has AoE. And
it does enable a Battle Rage.
yeah, it enables Battle Rage, signals that he has AoE, so those are two downsides of it, but he doesn't have anything else to do with his turn.
Yeah, no other choice. And he wants to kind of like play the AoE on 5 and then follow up with Cabal Shadow Priest on 6.
Yeah, and AKAWonder is still going to play down the Ghoul here, a little bit vulnerable to the AoE, but he's able to cycle the Ghoul essentially because he gets an extra card off Battle Rage by playing the Ghoul.
Yeah.
So he's turning the Ghoul into like 3/3 draw card, which is a pretty good card.
Yeah, it's definitely alright. And even if you get hit by AoE here, you still have Karen as a follow-up on turn 6.
Yep.
So, double execute will be nice in the future. So he still has an okay hand.
Not in the immediate is it nice, though. He is really looking for just more minion pressure, more just board dominance things, and he doesn't even have ways to activate execute besides his face currently, so a little clunky, I'd say, but we do see JJ going here for the counter Battle Rage, like I was saying. Double Northshire Cleric Circle.
Yeah,
that's a lot of cards.
This is what he needs, like, he needs more cards, because...
Oh, not even the Circle, he's just going to use the heal, okay. I like it.
Not to overdraw?
And then the Circle afterwards.
Okay, sure.
So yeah, he's gaining 2 additional cards by going with the heal first, then the Circle.
He also activated Cthulhu, right? Because we've seen double buff.
It's at 12 now, I believe.
It's at 12. Okay, double Beaconer and Disciple?
Yeah. Look at all of these cards. Just
Shaping, another great card, especially on turn 8.
Yeah, definitely a high value card.
So he's still okay with regards to his health, like at 20, because he's also a priest who can heal, but he got enough cards that he can have really good quality turns starting from now.
Yeah, he got... How many cards did he draw that turn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cards that turn. Pretty good turn.
And also healed.
Yeah, and also healed. It's pretty crazy. So just being able to take advantage of your opponent's damaged minions is one of the cool mechanics in this matchup.
So for the next turn, can he clear the board somehow? Or not yet? Doesn't have Okanai Soul Priest with Circle, but then AKAWonder has to start playing around everything almost.
Yeah, he has some ways to inflict damage on the board. AKAWonder is going to play around that AoE that he knows is there by using the War Axe charge instead of trading in the Armorsmith. So if that Excavated Evil that JJ signaled the previous turn does come out, now at least the Armorsmiths are alive still as 1/1s, which is actually kind of relevant because that allows him to activate these kind of otherwise stranded executes in his hand. So I really like the play by AKAWonder there, using that War Axe charge to just guarantee that his Armorsmiths can stick around.
And one of the Armorsmiths is getting stolen by Cabal Shadow Priest.
Yeah, just further trying to set up that Excavated Evil, remove one of the things that it can't die, and also just a big tempo play on the board. Cabal Shadow Priest comes down for a lot of stats there for 6 mana. It removes 1/4 from your opponent and gives you 1/4 and a 4/5.
I wonder how familiar AKAWonder is with this list, and is he expecting Entomb to happen? Because, well, you are playing versus Priest.
He may be. He may be. Not a lot of people are too familiar with the Cthulhu Priest deck. I'm pretty familiar with it simply because I casted all of Stan's games with it. So I got a first-hand experience at Cthulhu Priest. But it does look like he's not too afraid. He seems to be just running the Karen out there, so I like it. He seems to be well-researched and knows what's going on with the Cthulhu Priest deck.
Definitely. So what can JJ do now? There is double Dark Mender turn 7. He can heal himself.
Yeah, he can heal himself all the way up to 30 if he wanted to this turn. The heal for 10. He's got the Forbidden Shaping, but on 7 it's usually not that great.
You wanted to cast it on turn 8.
Yeah.
Or at least with 8 mana, so maybe turn 10 hero power. There is Cthulhu Chosen as well. Is he going for some kind of a clear? Maybe like...
Yeah, just to be able to kill the 4-1 here using the Shadow Word Pain and the Wild Pyromancer. It's not too bad. And then you can even use the Forbidden Shaping to get the Karen in range of... Well, then your Pyro dies. But you can heal your Pyro and use Forbidden Shaping if you want to get the Karen in Excavated Evil range, but that's probably a bit too costly of resources, so I imagine he just heals the Pyro and passes.
Yeah, he might just heal here. And expect to trade and then go with the Forbidden Shaping on turn 8. Oh, there's Ragnaros. Look at that. It's a good card.
It is a pretty good card. It's
still trade and slam Ragnaros, I believe.
No,
or is he? No.
Yeah, you got to get the weapon value when you can. Like, where is this weapon ever going to pick up value other than right here? So he wants to get the weapon value when he can. His Karen's still out of Excavated Evil range. He can drop down the Fierce Monkey, which is also out of Excavated Evil range. So he's navigating pretty nicely around the AoE, but he is going to hold back the Monkey. Maybe scared of like Alkali Circle plus. Alkali plus Circle to be able to clear off the board.
With this many cards, you have to expect those cards.
Yeah, you have to.
Even though you've seen one Circle, but still.
Yeah, that's what he's probably thinking about JJ's Wild Pyromancer setup last turn. He's like, well, I know he has Excavated Evil, but why did he set the Karen to exactly 4? And then you think...
means something.
Yeah, you definitely... And
there is a Veclord draw, so that is a possibility as well. So you can Forbidden Shaping for 8 to get something good, but...
walks right into Execute, though.
Yeah, it does. And Veclor stops this board, or so Karen is at 4 health, as we mentioned. So even though it's a bit off mana, still the best play here.
Yeah, it's so powerful. Just getting 2 4/6s, even for 8 mana, is pretty good.
So what can you do here? You do have those executes.
Yeah, I think you want to be trying to Battle Rage for 3 here if you can. Just get through your deck as quickly as possible, get towards the Varian Rin and those sort of big finishers and Grom and what have you. So
yeah, definitely. You want to do the cards.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of just Cruel Taskmastering your 3/3 and Battle Raging and seeing what happens and trying to line up maybe a Slam to go on one of the 4/6s so your Karen trades in and trade with your other minion and your War Axe to be able to kill the other one.
Well, you also have like do you have a second goal, I guess? You might have one Whirlwind in the deck. So
you might have additional Whirlwinds in the deck. So
even Bloodshake.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways this works out, and none
of
those cards are the ways they do.
Yeah, so that is awkward.
Yeah.
How do you start trading this? You might slam Frothing or Monkey, like because you're not able to kill. Well, I guess you can execute.
Yeah,
targets.
It doesn't feel good, but yeah, executes most likely have to come out and either the Monkey or the Bloodhoof Brave. Maybe, he's just Bloodhoof Braving and passing here. I mean, Monkeying and passing.
Yeah, so keeping the executes in hand. Alright, so JJ is on board with the 4/6. He can even buff it. But is it the time to buff it and slam Forbidden Shaping? No, he's going for Dark Mender.
Yeah, he wants to be healed up so that he can play Cthulhu next turn without having to worry about dying from the backlash afterwards. So
yeah.
I like the heal this turn, get it out of the way, make sure you can drop Cthulhu the following turn, and put on a lot of pressure.
Sure, buffing Cthulhu even more. And you are in a safe position, like at the 25 with this kind of board. And AKAWonder doesn't have that many spells. Like, he has those executes, but is it enough to deal with this board? Even the 4/2 is annoying, because you can...
Yeah, it's... Yeah. There's not great ways that these minions trade with each other here. He may be in a situation where he has to start using some executes here on like subpar targets. He's got Grom that has some decent trades on the board.
And
but
he still has to be afraid about AoE, so he doesn't want to overextend with his board. Because like, normally you can play double Frothing, for example, and then like execute it for free, run the 2/2 into 6/5, execute as well, and then I guess, attack face with your Kern, leaving the 4-2 on board and having a decent board that needs to be answered. But then if you've played around Circle feeling Okanai Soul Priest, you will not go for that because you know you will lose your board.
Yeah. He has to be super afraid of that, and there's not a great way to be cautious when approaching this board. You have to play into something no matter what line of play you take, and he's going to play into single target removal here, dropping the Ragnaros.
You're going to play Gromash as well, I believe.
Yeah.
Just Gromash attack into the Veclor and then do the same thing, more or less.
Yeah.
And the Ragnaros hits face, which is pretty bad for AKAWonder.
Yeah, he knows there's another heal 10 in his opponent's deck, and we may even see it come out this turn and just make SuperJJ super safe around everything. And he's got such a dominant board presence right now. Priest seems to be running away with his game.
Yeah, that's why in the beginning I wasn't sure which deck is better, because I knew those are those big minions in the Priest deck. And if you are able to take the board from Tempo Warrior, you might struggle here. 27, super safe. You have tempo, you have minions, and AKAWonder needs to do something about it.
Yeah, and there's no great comeback mechanisms in the Tempo Warrior deck. Like, you get ahead and you stay ahead, or you get ahead and then you kill them. That's the game plan. There's no, all right, I've lost the board, how do I take it back game plan. There's no brawls. Sometimes with you can string together Whirlwind Ravaging Ghoul to take a board back, but not against minions of this size.
Definitely. So
it's pretty tough.
What went wrong? Is it that he wasn't able to build up a board because he was afraid of AoEs? So he didn't have enough pressure?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that went wrong. I also think the Battle Rage was a bit unlucky. When he drew the 3 cards, he needed he had 2 Blood Takers, 2 Slams, a Whirlwind, and a Ravaging Ghoul. He could all draw to make the trades clean, and he missed all of those possible outs on those 3 draws, and that led to SuperJJ to have a window of opportunity to be more explosive on the board, and he took that window of opportunity and has put it to good use.
And on the other hand, JJ was able to draw like 6 to 7 cards. In
Yeah,
one big turn.
that was pretty good too. And that's one of those turns where I was even looking at it and I was like, yeah, he sets up for this Excavated Evil clear. He's got a great Excavated Evil clear, and since he had the second Northshire, he said instead, you know what, I'm gonna let you have your board. I'm just going to draw my whole deck. I can out-heal anything that you do as long as I have cards. And
clear the board, do whatever.
Yeah, it's like a play that a lot of players wouldn't see, and it's really cool to see him do that play, get rewarded for it, and then use his card advantage at the cost of some life to then win the game.
Certainly.
It's kind of like what Warlock does with Life Tap.
Yeah, more or less. Just use your life. And even healing the minion on the opposing side first, and then going for support.
Get the extra cards. The mechanically correct way to do it is... Yeah.
So we're going to see those Throttling Berserkers from AKAWonder. He's fighting back. He had that second execute for Cthulhu, but the 6-5 is still on board.
Yeah, it's not over yet. He is still a little bit afraid of potential AoE, but now is not the time to be afraid. He kind of has to go in, and Frothings are in pain range, though, which is so painful. They're going to get cleaned up so nicely, and that was kind of
Chosen and Disciple as well.
Yeah, that was kind of like AKAWonder's last hurrah push with the 2 Frothings, hoping one of them would stick around and get massive enough to allow him to come back in the game, and it just wasn't the case. And SuperJJ redevelops the board again, and AKAWonder is again on the back foot.
And we've mentioned at the beginning that AKAWonder is a Cthulhu player. Like, this guy brought those Cthulhu decks to the prelims, and right now, right here at DreamHack Summer, he's losing to the Cthulhu Priest.
Yeah.
Cthulhu somehow seems mad at the AKAWonder.
It just follows him. Everywhere he goes, there's Cthulhu. Even when he doesn't bring it.
Yeah.
And now it's taking revenge on him for not playing Cthulhu decks.
Yeah, but still, even though AKAWonder loses here and loses the series versus JJ, he will be at 2-1, so he still has a good chance to win the other games and advance to top 16.
It's not over yet. He can make the comeback.
Really? You see a possibility for a comeback? From 26 health and a Forbidden Shaping for 8 next turn? Maybe. All right.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, definitely.
There has to be a variant in this equation somewhere, right?
If he's playing one, yep, but the variant definitely can be something.
What if his variant pulls Ice Howl, allows him to get some favorable trades? Also, he's used Ragnaros already, so he can't pull that. So maybe
Malkorok being a big guy, and then some taunts, like a second Bloodhoof.
Maybe it pulls I don't know, some big dragon like a Nixia or something, and then also pulls the one that makes time go faster. And then SuperJJ
The
is
Storm
just
move.
simply so shocked at the sight of what's going on that he ropes out, loses his turn, the dragons connect, and bam, it's an OTK.
Possibly. If he in fact plays those cards, but yep.
Yep. That's a good way to sum it up.
That's a Corcoran lead, man. You can go for like honorable 4 damage to face. It's like, hey, priest, you have trouble dealing with 4 cost minions, but
Yeah.
all right. So JJ takes the series with the priest, with Cthulhu, and that was a fun series overall.
Yeah.